to Connectivity Conversations, a podcast by ATC Africa, where we discuss insights and innovations for building a more connected world. My name is Aderonke Adebanjo. It's great to have you join us on another episode. Today, we're talking about the ripple effect of telecommunications infrastructure. And this is an important conversation because it shows the end-to-end process of setting up telecommunications infrastructure, but also how we make connectivity possible, but also impactful. It's going to be a great conversation. And joining me all the way from ATC Uganda is the head of asset management, Sheila Mugisha. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Aderonke. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's great to have you, Sheila.
Thank you.
Before we jump into our conversation, you're from Uganda. Tell us a little bit about Uganda.
So Uganda is a land that's beautiful. Mm-hmm. It's gifted by nature. The thing I love the most about Uganda is the people. Mm-hmm. The culture of Uganda is, warmth, hospitality, mm-hmm. friendliness. We are very friendly as, a country, and that's one of our strengths when it comes to attracting tourists, mm-hmm. hosting visitors. Our tagline is gifted by nature. Yeah. We are gifted by nature. There's diverse natural parks, lakes, rivers. We host the famous mountain gorilla, one of the few habitats in the world where it still exists naturally, wind impenetrable forest. Uganda is landlocked. It's in East Africa. Maybe I should have started there. Our neighbors are Kenya, South Sudan, Congo, DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo, Rwanda, Tanzania. We host the biggest lake, the largest lake in Africa, Lake Victoria, the longest river in Africa, River Nile. We are straddled on both sides with national parks, with mountains. It's a beautiful country. It is a place I'm proud to call home.
That's awesome. You're quite the ambassador for Uganda.
Absolutely. Any day. I'm ready.
So Sheila, let's get into our conversation today. We're talking about the ripple effect of telecommunications infrastructure. But can you walk us through the end-to-end process? When we want to set up telecoms infrastructure, what is that end-to-end process like?
Yeah, so real quick, everywhere we go, we're sent by a customer. We'll have a telecom customer requesting for a location. So the first thing that we'll do, the very first touch point is with the community. And with the community, we'll look at the local leadership, we'll look at a landowner whose location meets the requirements of our customer, and we'll look at a supportive community around that location, because ATC does not exist in isolation. So once we've reached terms with the landlord, we are guided by the local leadership on what is required. Is this person the owner? And then we have to actually get the consultation and talk to the community that surrounds the tower, tell them about our project, tell them how it's going to improve their livelihoods, their lives, tell them that this is going to be an improvement to their community, and basically get their support in our venture. So we start with the community, and actually it is the first point when we're setting up a tower.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So Sheila, when we go into these communities, do we experience pushback from the community members?
So I'd say 95% of the time, no.
Okay.
The communities are supportive of our projects because they anticipate, a positive impact. In the 5% where we do experience some pushback, it will be based on myths about the health and safety aspects of our towers. It will be based on false perceptions that a tower will bring down the value of their land, whereas the reverse is true in any case, because when a tower comes up, you have access to telecommunication. It makes your land more attractive. It makes you access services in case you need a security, maybe support. Then you can get it easily because you can actually make and receive a phone call. So we'll get those few communities, specifically in high net worth neighborhoods where they'll, say, they don't want a tower. And then we'll also get them in some communities where there's misinformation. And our job then is to dispel, the myths. We don't do this in isolation. We work with our regulators. We work with the Environment Authority. We work with the Regulator Communications Commission, Uganda Communications Commission, to engage the community and actually to show them the positive impact that a tower will put in their community. In most cases, we're able to succeed actually and install the tower.
That's really great because it sounds to me like it's a partnership, right? We don't just walk in there and say we're here to set up a tower, but we partner, we come together and we partner, we have conversations with the community.
Yes, we do. Really yes, we do. It's a partnership, and it's not a partnership that is transactional. It's an ongoing partnership.
Right.
Because once the tower is up and the landlord is a beneficiary for the next 30 years at a minimum, the community will also continue to benefit from this same tower.
Right.
And because, we don't just build a tower and walk away, there are other improvements that we do in that area that actually uplift the entire community.
So let's talk about some of the other infrastructure. When we're deploying our own telecoms infrastructure, I would imagine that there's other types of infrastructure within the community that we still require to assist that deployment. Can you walk us through what some of those are?
Yes. So at Aderonke, when we set up a tower, most of our towers now are coming up from day one with solar infrastructure. Our primary source is solar, supported by lithium-ion batteries. Our secondary source is grid. Now, in most parts of Uganda, which is a country I'm familiar with, we do not have grid, specifically in the rural areas. And because of that challenge, we have to circumvent it, because we know we need solar, yes, but there'll be months that are cloudy where we can't rely on solar completely. So we need grid, which is supposed, to be available at least 99% of the time. Now, in those cases, what we're doing is we're partnering with government. We're partnering with the distribution company for grid to say, what's your rollout plan like? If they're able to share with us their rollout plan, we're able to guide them and say, ATC is willing to be an anchor tenant with you. Would you set up a grid line just for us? So what happens when that grid line is set up? Even if ATC is the anchor, we don't use that grid line alone. We'll use it with a community. So you can imagine a community that was previously dark being lit up, literally from day one, as soon as that grid line is connected. The grid company will connect with a transformer that's able to be expanded to reach the community. So all the community needs to do is just pay for that last mile connection, maybe the last 150 meters to their homes. So you can imagine, whereas we were the primary anchor for this grid line, we've actually impacted the community going forward. So beautiful. Obviously that's just, as we said, lighting up the community, literally, not only just from an ICT infrastructure perspective, but literally, just lights.
Electricity. Yeah.
Yes. Then the second infrastructure that is key when we're setting up a tower is a road network or road infrastructure. Yeah. So in many parts of Uganda, there are no roads. How does the community traverse? They're using footpaths. So you can imagine when we need to ferry materials, building materials, steel bars, tower elements up a hill, and there's just no road. It's a footpath. First of all, it's not even enough. But beyond that, we rely on the community to give us, easements, access, to give us some of their land for us to actually put a road there. Now, when we put that road there, we're not the only users of this road. Sure, our service teams will access using that same road. So will our customers, so will our landlord and his family, so will the community. Yeah. And it's a permanent change. It's an impactful change, because what was once a footpath before, even inaccessible in some parts, has now been opened up to the world. Yeah. We've improved not just their access to services, but we've also improved the value of their land. And if ATC can use that road to take, equipment to the site, so can they to take materials, so can they to take their children to school, so can they to get access to medical services and to get any help they'll need, which before they couldn't because of the limitations of infrastructure. And in that respect, we are partners for change, not just for the sake of our customers and for ATC, but for the greater good. So that's why we feel that, we need more partnerships, and we can only succeed with partnerships.
Talk about a real ripple effect. I love what we're doing, and I think it's beyond just connectivity. Would you say there are any other ways that we impact the community? I mean, I would imagine that when we bring in our infrastructure to set up, we require labor to make this happen. How do we work with the communities on that?
Okay, excellent question. From the get-go, when we're looking for labor, like you said, our work is, building. It requires human resources. We rely on the community once again to give us this labor. So even what I described, taking materials to site, if you need water, you do need water to make concrete. We actually rely on the community. Even the water that we're going to use, we'll have to pay a member of the community to provide this water. So you can imagine we're not just coming in isolation, but we're relying on the community for labor. We are relying on them to give us even materials, because when we go to these locations, we're actually buying from the local hardware shops.
I love
so
that.
You can imagine even from day one, we're improving, the economic activity. In other words, we are enablers for change. We're enablers.
And that's a great way to wrap up this conversation, is that we are impacting lives. And I love what you said earlier about us being an enabler. Yeah. When you see, the next time we all see a tower, we shouldn't look at it in isolation. We should remember the ecosystem that has made that tower possible and the impact that it's having in the long term.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much, Sheila, for joining us on Connectivity Conversations.
Thank you, Aderonke.
Thank you for watching another episode of Connectivity Conversations. We'll catch you on the next one.